Hello and welcome, my friends. I'm a little bit early. It's about 2:54 on a Saturday, March the 22nd. I had set the live up for 3 p.m. and I'm just kind of sitting around waiting for the timeline. So I thought I would start a little bit early, put on some copyright-free music as I wait for the crew to come in, join the live session, as it were. I'm not really sure how a lot of people find the live stream. YouTube seems to have its algorithms and things set up for content, things like that. I'm not sure if hashtags or titles or descriptions, even image analyzing that these days sets up for who the interested audiences would be. I'm still trying to figure out YouTube right now. Content as well. Never really sure what to say, what to talk about. Anyways, I'm gonna flip this around. I'm just gonna say hello to my friends. We're gonna sit here for a little bit in my Sleep Token shirt, which is actually kind of small for me now that I think about it. I've been enjoying a lot of snacks the last few months. Essentially, the point of today's live stream is to do the weekly discovery sort of playlist. God, this shirt like makes me, there's a shadow right here that like has this effect. Anyways, it is what it is. There's a shadow that's like right across here that makes this look way worse than it is. Is what it is. We're listening to the copyright free right now. And what I will do is I will start up the live playlist. What I do is scroll through my Spotify playlist, and if I go to the home section or library, essentially there are two lists that are on here that have new music. One is the weekly discovery playlist, and then there's another one that is the what they call the release radar playlist. And every week or so, whatever, they have an algorithm that showcases like new music, anything that just got released, or things that the algorithm seems to suggest that I would enjoy. So what I want to do is just walk through it, share some music with my friends. If you like it, add it. If you don't like it, then we'll get to something that everybody likes eventually. Flip these cameras twice. There we go. So we are listening to the Arendal 1723X THX towers, the SVS SB1000 sealed subwoofers, SB1000 Pros, and Buckeye Audio Purify module amplifiers that are 250, 300 watt monoblock Class D topology Purify modules. You can look up all the details online for those. And yeah, we're going to walk through some new music. I have a feeling that my weekly discovery playlist this week is probably going to be a lot of jazz. If you're into jazz, then cool. If you're into metal, then hang on. We might just roll through the release radar playlist afterwards. I have to see how people are feeling in the chat. I've got the all messages in chat should be coming down, be open for chat. So we're going to scroll through. I'm going to go through the first one, and then we'll scroll through the whole thing. I'm going to leave the titles on screen there. Look, a Hero, Ramsey Lewis Trio. The whole point of doing these music videos is not to showcase the sound of the equipment. I've actually been struggling quite a little bit lately about what to put in terms of content online, YouTube space in general, audio in general, more specifically on YouTube. But the point of the video is to just be live, be available, allow my friends to give their feedback, to showcase maybe something new for friends and fans. It's not to showcase the sound of the equipment. These are not like review status videos. The gear and all of that kind of stuff is actually kind of boring me lately. A lot of the stuff is the same as it always is. It's just one or two things new. It's chasing the next 2% improvements if possible. But meanwhile, like the budget doesn't change, that everybody has different priorities in life, and the gear and review side of things is actually not what I want to focus on. I've been blessed. I'm grateful that I've been able to enjoy some of the products that I've had, purchase-wise or borrowed, but I don't think that competing with the other YouTube space and the reviewers that have much better access is the best use of my time. So there's a very good chance I won't be doing gear review specific videos in the future. It's just it's a very competitive space, and I feel like trying to compete against all the other successful channels is a really hard uphill battle for what I've seen is very little reward. So I don't think I'll be doing that. So anyways, that's Look a Hero, and we're gonna switch to the next song. We are going in line down the list here. Very thoughtful of you. This is mostly jazz as far as I can tell. So Josh, he says, name a car for an edit. I mean, I don't understand what that even means. So Jacob says, favorite SpongeBob character. I don't watch that show. I don't know how anybody is finding this video right now. True Voice of Reason. Budget. If I could afford eggs, I could afford some decent gear. Yeah, and exactly the politics right now around economics and travel and a bunch of other things that people are facing in life. You know, like there's already a number of different things that we need in our lives, and I think that debates and reviews and advertising for more and more gear I don't know who that serves right now, given the world situation, given where everybody's priorities are. I'm wondering what the value of more reviews, what does that really offer anybody? I mean, there's already like 60 million songs out there, and I highly doubt that anybody's listened to all of them. So I want to take a beat and like share some new music for people to listen to rather than advertise for more purchases. Like, I know that the industry is always trying to sell on something, you know, they need sales to stay alive, but at the same time, like, you know, we're not endless pits of money. We can't constantly buy new stuff, and new stuff isn't always what we really need. Sometimes it's a mood or a suggestion or a change of the stuff that we already have. Let's move on to the next song. Human, a very poignant song to lead on here with my conversation. Yeah, so I love the idea of new technology being used, new advancements. I love being able to keep up with things that are going on in the world, and with, you know, 50 other YouTube people advertising for all kinds of brands and getting marketing deals and having exchanges of, say, they borrow a product, they talk about whatever they want, while talking about whatever they want on the channel, the videos become monetized, they get money for talking about it online. The company essentially gets free advertising because the companies don't pay to have anybody talk about it, but there is an exchange for putting videos online, and there's already a lot of successful people doing it. So in my time of reflection, I've turned to music like I always do, and started considering what I value most about this space. And I don't know that adding more reviews is the most valuable thing I can add. It's not for my life. To be honest, like, out of all of the different products and reviews and stuff that I've seen online lately, I mean, I think on a regular basis, this is nice. It's got a really nice tone to it. Bass is very pronounced. Is anybody joining? We're doing the music discovery and we're just scrolling through my library right now. I'm not giving you a shout out. People in the chat just looking for attention. Why would I give you a shout out? Share my video. Subscribe and share my video. How about that? Don't ask me for anything. Give me something and then I'll give you something. The few people that I watch online in YouTube reviews right now are very few, because a lot of it isn't aimed at me, and I'm already in the space. I know a lot about audio already, and I'm not really sure that I need to hear about anybody's opinion on stuff as a review. Or, you know, I listen to Aaron's Audio Corner because he's an engineer and he's got professional gear, and I'll watch Audioholics once in a while to see how James Larson has measured and, you know, has spec'd out something that's interesting. I want to see how the stuff measures. I want to see how it compares in an objective way. And there's very few people doing any kind of truly objective data presentation. I mean, Jay is another guy who's also a friend, and I watch his videos because I support my friends. But that's why I'm watching it. I'm not watching it for, you know, like, I'm not necessarily watching my peers and community videos for the information, because a lot of it at my level anyways is a real sort of, you know, it's really obvious, or I already know where to find the information. So I'm thinking in that light, I'm reflecting out loud here while the music is playing, because I want to provide something more valuable to the audience that's out there, and maybe to my own peers. Like, what do they care what I have to say? I'm not sure. You know, what do I have to add and offer to anybody who's already doing the same thing I'm doing? My audience is not going to be the, you know, maybe the startup audiophiles, the music lovers and listeners that are like, well, what do I really need to just move up one notch, one thing, one level better than my computer speakers, one level better than my TV speakers? You know, what do I, you know, at $50, what do I get? That's all I can afford. What do I buy at $50 to improve my audio? And there's an answer for that. And like I was talking with my brother, who is here with me for a little bit, and I was asking him, like, what would it take for you to invest in something audio wise? And I bought him a couple of like IEM headphones. Maybe over-ear headphones would be better, because not a lot of people like stuff shoved in their ears. And yeah, I'm not going to read out those comments underneath. True Voice of Reason knows what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to read them out. And yeah, that's unfortunate. A lot of people just come through these social media things as, you know, narcissists with sheep's clothing. They're essentially just looking for attention for themselves, and they're not offering really anything. And I'm reflecting now on what I can offer my audience. I don't wish for the attention from me. It's not about, hey, look at my face, look what I'm wearing, look at the gear I have, look how much stuff I have and maybe you don't or you do. I don't care. I don't want the attention for that. I'm only here to showcase something that people can enjoy for themselves, or they can decide on and then make a better experience for themselves. That's really why I'm here. Let's switch. This one is Mr. Bojangles, Karen Guik Thuram. Oh my goodness. Guiak? I don't even know how to read the name. Anyways, you have to see that. So anyways, the search for me is to like think about, what does my audience, or what does an audience of a type really value in this space in audio? What am I really looking for? Like I said, Aaron's Audio Corner, Audioholics, Jay's Yagi, these guys have equipment and they do measurements and they spec out like the details of audio that inform the community on things that are not just an subjective input. Some people really value like subjective input, like a trusted advisor. You get to know a character or a person. That person has a reputation. When they say certain things, then you can either trust or believe or put some faith in a person, and then you can follow the journey and extend your journey by taking advice from them as a trusted advisor. And then that's having faith in a person. Now, for me, I like the objective data because it takes the idea of a subjective opinion out of the picture, and I can use the data and then to calculate and then move forward based on a measurement or a scientific method or things like that. Both are very good, and YouTube is built up as a entertainment space, so we're looking to be entertained as we're spending our time. So the idea of entertaining and informing is a very valuable method. I don't know that I'm all that entertaining. I hope to be more informative than entertaining, and it's just a matter of what do people really value in this music space. And to me, it's always been about the music. It's not about the gear. For me, the gear is only like one smaller factor in the picture. Whatever I'm listening to music on at the time that I'm enjoying the music is kind of irrelevant. Now, whether the music is better or worse quality, that could be an argument. That's why we're in the audio space. But without any gear, there's no music. So it's like this 50-50 sort of thing for me. Anyways, so that's why I like going through my Discovery playlist and sharing with my friends, because having an option of music and new music, it seems to like bring life to the system. Without these songs, I mean, really, truly, what would we need the gear for if we didn't have the music? The music is the real reason. It's a party. It says, it's a party. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just here sharing the music. If you guys like the music, then add it to a playlist. I am sort of preparing for a live session later at 6 p.m., so another 3 hours. Completely different topic. I'll be showcasing from the computer. I have a lot of different stuff that I have to present on screen. It's going to be a deep dive about like material science and how the speakers are designed and why certain brands are picking certain materials. So we'll go through that a little bit later. Let's get through this song. This is Wave by Gazera. I wish my camera would focus this close. It doesn't. Anyways, very nice jazzy playlist. This Discovery playlist is pretty easy to listen to this week. I don't know if everybody else likes it. I know a lot of people jump in here and some are really into drum and bass, some are really into metal, and I kind of go around the block. I have a little bit of everything to kind of go on. So this one's pretty cool. Let's just skip through some of these. I've been giving them a lot of time and I need to keep moving. Brown Sugar, BWB. True Voice of Reason. That's interesting, as I like to dabble in both music reproduction, listening gear, and music creation gear to make and manipulate sound and music. Yeah, like, music production gear, like monitors, keyboards, instruments, consoles, the music production software. There's a whole other world to that side of it, and it's not something I want to explore necessarily on the channel, but as I'm interested in music in general and sounds in general, like the sounds of thunder, the sounds of breaking ice, the sounds of leaves crackling under your feet, the sound of like the wind moving things around, the sound of running or flowing water. Like there are sounds of like animals and nature and sounds in general everywhere, and natural instruments in person, and like our pursuit in audio to try and replicate what that sounds like in a room. It's not 100% possible, but the whole journey is to try and replicate it as believable, as enjoyable as possible. So it's really like I guess why I'm turning away from the idea of focusing on gear and reviews and unboxings and all, like, you know, like 100 other people could do with very, very little effort. You can turn on a camera, do a little bit of reading, and just talk about whatever's in the box. Like that's, you know, there's so many people doing it already. I don't need to be competing with them. It's not something I'm really interested in. That I added this one to my playlist today. This was a song called Home. Anthony Jackson, Michael Petrucciani, and Steve Gadd. So this is a trio in Tokyo live recording. This is really, really nice. It's called Home. Very slow, dynamic. Oh yes, True Voice of Reason's talking about sound effect creation, like Foley Room and movie sound effects and things like that. Yeah, it's also a very interesting art form. So like the way they record it, as well as the way they recreate it for movies and scenes and things like that, it's not always what we think it is. Sometimes the sound of like footsteps or swords or sound effects, they're always, sound engineers are creating those sounds using instruments and using objects and microphone placement and effects in order to bring it to life. So it's really funny, like the way that people argue about, oh, it doesn't sound like real life, or it doesn't sound like artist intent, or it doesn't sound like yada yada yada, like, you know, these debate makers that come into online spaces and like what I'm calling making noise of a audio community. It's there's so much arguing, and it's discouraging, to be honest. It's not what I signed up for. I mean, a community that I enjoyed from day one is a group of people that just want to share cool music, you know, people that are like, hey, did you hear the new whatever it is? And they play like a new song for you, and then you get interested, and then you sit around and say, hey, did you hear this album or that album? Like in the 60s and 70s or whatever it was, you know, you'd have your record player, your turntable, you'd have maybe one person in the neighborhood whose either parents or themselves owned a decent stereo, and you would go with the new album and you'd sit down and, you know, like smoke or drink or whatever, and you'd let the music play and you just have a good time. At that time, the idea of music and having gear, it's not the same as it is today, especially with social media and the different kinds of people being able to say something. You know, it's good and bad. It has incredible potential, but it's also made to be so ironically distorted from the whole purpose of having good gear. And it's to enjoy the music. Bill Evans Trio. Yeah, to enjoy the music is really what this is all about for me. And the more that I can do to enjoy the music, the more people that share with me new music, that are interested in the music, that their focus is more about the music joy than it is about the gear. Because, I mean, yes, the brands are using social media to advertise. They're using, I say using in a very loose way, but they're using people with reputation to reach an audience so they can advertise to more people. We have to acknowledge what it is. That's what it is. People are making money off of YouTube as YouTube sells the time to advertisers. The ads roll on the video, roll under the video, roll in the clicks, because that's what it is. It's an advertising platform. We're all just part of an advertising engine. And I don't know that I'm comfortable with it. I mean, I know that money has to be made somewhere. People deserve to get paid for their work. And I get the idea of the engine, but it's like that's not what I don't enjoy it the way it's set up. The YouTube algorithms and the advertisers have power over what and how you can say things, because if you don't do what they want you to do, then they're not going to monetize, or they're not going to pay you for your work. So you're essentially signing up to be manipulated by their system in order to get paid, which is like, okay, it's a job. I don't necessarily have a voice at my job. I go to my job every day to get paid. So do I want to have like my day job and this job? And I have to do exactly what somebody else tells me to do on both ends? And then when do I have time for myself? You know, music was the thing that I used to enjoy my time, to get my own time back, to share like just freedom with my friends. The idea of monetizing my hobby and then just becoming essentially a robot or a cog in the system just to, you know, it doesn't feel good. At least I haven't figured out how to make it work. So maybe there's an avenue, maybe there's a way. I'm certainly glad and grateful for where I've gotten, the things that I've been able to experience. So in a way, the balance there that I can see is I'm working at something that's not easy for benefits that I wouldn't necessarily have. So while it's not comfortable to do entirely, some of the perks are benefits, which is why a lot of people do it. You know, the perks end up being the balance. I'm always just curious of like, well, isn't there another way to do it? Isn't there another value that I can add that reaches people who are music fans, who can find, you know, I can point out 50 other people that have gear reviews. I don't have to do them also. You know, I'm gonna showcase, I'm gonna help someone else out later in my other live video who did a review for a product and a brand. I don't own those speakers, I don't have those speakers, but I'm gonna help them advertise anyways, because I can reshare it. The idea of YouTube is I can put on whatever content I want. I can reshare an image, I could talk about it further. I don't have to get the product in for it to be informative, and it'll be not quite the same as seeing it on camera, but I could easily use clips from somebody else's video, not to copyright on them and not to use their content for like a free-for-all, but if it gives them free advertising and then people go to watch their video, then they get monetized and I get to talk about something cool. So I don't think there's anything wrong with resharing in a community. I'm looking to just serve the community further in that sense. Early in Autumn, very, very nice sort of like mid-tone, low female voice. This is recorded very well. Lots of nice space.
Early in the autumn, suddenly love is over.
Oh, True Voice of Reason, trying to share some music. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. I have a Discord posted to my YouTube channel and to my info, though people can join the Discord, and nobody ever does. And that's the place to share and talk about stuff. I have that open for a reason. It's an open community to talk about the music and to share stuff that we all like. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. Everybody and their, you know, and their dog has a Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and we're all sort of fighting over the same pool of audio people. You know, it's like, that's why I struggle right now, because it's so saturated with all this media and everybody doing it that Like, what is it? What's the value in something where everything is in abundance? Diamonds are not expensive because there's a lot of them. Diamonds are expensive because there's not a lot of them. Same with gold. Gold is hard to come by, so it's expensive. So this is Jan Lundgren Trio. Can you please? This is like a very quiet, dynamic sort of sound. And yeah, I'm sharing music and songs on my list because, you know, maybe nobody's ever heard of this before. And I personally find a value in discovering new things. Like, if you're into any other hobby and people find a new source or a new engineered product for, say, car performance or sporting equipment or new technology in TVs, or if it's not a technology, then it could be like a musical instrument. Say there's a new brand of strings, or a new, you know, a new traveling case, or in any kind of hobby, you could find that it's always interesting and great to hear from people who can share with you more resources, like a new place to hear music, or a new book, or a new location that opened up so you can go and experience something, like new food, new eating locations, a new, you know what I mean? So you can have these experiences in this space. And I find like there's a value in that. Not just gear, because gear's expensive and gear always changes. And you know what? A lot of them are designed to last a long time. You don't need a new piece of gear every year because these brands need to sell end over end just to stay alive. They're basically surviving on the idea of selling to things. But I mean, when was the last time something truly new was designed and created? Small improvements here and there, and year over year over year. But like, what's the last really, really new thing that was created? Do they really, you know, like, supply and demand wise, and this idea of like urgency of changing and FOMO and upgrading, and like, is that really a good enough reason? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I mean, it's not to say anything really bad about those companies out there trying. They 100% deserve to make their money. But I mean, in the way the economy is working, and the way that, like, you know, we're looking, I don't want to get into politics, but right now, like, most people around the world and their governments and their jobs or whatever, you're being taken for everything that you have. And then, you know, brands have this way of telling stories about their products as if it's, you know, moon dust. It's so magical that you need to buy it, you know, and that's not necessarily true. Not to say that they're lying. I can't say that. That's defamation. They're not lying. They're trying to create value with a proposition. And, you know, maybe I'm not good at it. Maybe I'm not good at sales, but I take sharing and being emotionally intelligent personally. And that's why I like sharing music, because music is like a universal thing, and that's why I started in this hobby. So this is Rosello Blue Contemplations, which is, again, poignant for this conversation right now. True Voice of Reason can always link me in an email, because I can't remember, I won't be able to link it from the chat. So if you're going to share it, do so in an appropriate way. Yeah, it's, you know, like sharing music with my friends, sitting around and having like a binder full of CDs. That's the way I used to do it. I think I still have my binders of CDs somewhere. Yeah, see? I have my binder of CDs here, and I would just go around to my friends' places, and I would just scroll through the CDs, and I would share like all of my favorite music, and, you know, like this CD here that everybody talks about, that's got like a bunch of really cool songs on it, David Bowie greatest hits, you know. I would bring these binders around and share with my friends because you don't need an internet connection to enjoy really great music. Now, I've got a lot of metal CDs in here because that's what I was into, but I own a lot of music, you know. This is what I used to do. I have lots and lots of binders of music. This is how I used to share music. It's how I still share music. So that's the real reason I got into this. And, you know, what really matters to me is that sharing music. Nikita is here. Hopefully I'm saying that right, dude. Takes a huge mental stamina to not get into upgrade lists. Yes, exactly. Because there's so much media out there. Think about how many people are producing videos in our audio space, and then YouTube and the algorithm, and click, 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 splash, 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 splash. They're constantly injecting images and advertising and people being excited and waving their hands at the camera and putting on overly enthusiastic voices to make you feel something. They're eliciting emotion by using psychological tactics in order to get you to buy something new. It's constant stimulus in order to get you into like getting rid of your money, spending more money. Buy this, buy that, upgrade this, get the new this, shiny that. Ooh, look, it has curved edges. Ooh, it's got Gorilla Glass 7. Like, geez, like, relax. We don't need always new stuff. I mean, once in a while, just pause and enjoy what you have. It's not a recession. It's called appreciation. Just be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. I'm so grateful that I got this far with my audio system. I don't really need anything new. These speakers will last me 40 years if I don't abuse them. The subs and amps, the same thing. The technology's so new and so great. I don't need to upgrade anything. And hearing people talk about cables this, risers that, this and that, this shiny whatever, put crystals here and a battery there, like, oh my God. They're just trying to sell stuff. And I'm still waiting for someone to try and convince me otherwise. Great recordings, though. This is the thing that I love to discover, is great recordings. Celtic Fix Monday, St. Patrick's Day. Oh yeah, that's true. High Kings, Seo Lin, Oros. I can't even read that out loud, so that's cool. Yeah, my cable risers are awesome. For $20, you can't go wrong. Let me just showcase those. I wish that I had the capital to make these like my product, you know what I mean? Like get them branded. But it's two pieces of acrylic plastic. Now, essentially, what I want to do is brand one where they look like this. You have one piece like this with one cutout. And if you combine two of them, then you can do this, but it would essentially be curved up and down. And then you could just have like, instead of having two pieces with two different cuts. So it's the same shape, but the cut's in two different places, which means the manufacturer has to make two parts. If you engineered one with one cut in it, then you could just reverse the one piece and then brand it that way. And then bang, there's your cable riser. Pack of 5 for $20. This is what I'm talking about with industry. Like, this is a ball holder. Not literally like ball holder, but like, yes, these are to hold your balls. These are designed to hold your balls, and you can put cables on them. Surprise, surprise. A pack of 5, $20 on Amazon. Like, stop getting ripped off. I mean, I respect a lot of brands making very valuable things out there, but you don't need to spend a lot of money on stuff that doesn't do anything. Stop the train of just buying because of the sake of buying. If you have extra money, invest it, save it, spend it on your kids, save it for something else, maybe even donate it, give it away, share some money with somebody who doesn't have certain things yet. Like, kindness and generosity goes a long way. And I think that, like, if somebody else doesn't have speakers, maybe help them buy some speakers instead of buying like the next level for yourself. Like, you don't really need that much more, but the hobby will grow if we just buy stuff for other people. I bought speakers for other people before. I can't even tell you how many speakers I've given away in my life. And that would be one really, really cool way to get a new generation into the system and into the industry, is if you just gave some systems away. A lot of brands now are doing giveaways online, but they're giving away to the choir. They're preaching to the people who already know what's going on, unless those people are giving them away to kids. You know, so I think that's totally valuable, is give some stuff away, donate some audio stuff to like some next generation. True voice of reason, yeah. The cable risers are used on your walks, yeah, outside, that's right. Nikita's saying, I think any gear in the hobby is like this. Cars, PCs, yes, it's true. It's the same thing, like, exactly, like, and the thing about a lot of stuff like cars, the roads don't get upgraded. The speed limits don't get upgraded. Unless you're going to a track, you're still driving to work. Like, you don't really need it unless there's something really wrong with a car. PCs, on the other hand, it's an industry that sells itself, because with video games and software, the software is written in a way that requires new upgrades so that it's end-to-end control. The software developers are developing software that will eventually require you to upgrade your PCs or your software or whatever, because it's constantly changing. That's a whole cycle. They're just they know what they're doing. They've created an industry that's self-supporting in a way, and you know, they are upgrading certain things because they want to continue to sell. If they're not continually moving money, or there's nothing to invest in, then everything just grows stale. That's the way capitalism works. But it's not built on innovation anymore. It's just built on like this planned obsolescence. It's not real value. It's just a system of economic growth. Very, very ugly. I'm not buying into that right now at all. Nikita's saying, Youthman tried to encourage local groups on his channel. Hard to do. People get weird. I try to suggest, okay, let's not do home tour, but maybe get a pizza or chicken wings with like-minded folks. Yeah, and it's really hard to gather people together, because think about it, everybody works, everybody's got family life. They only have maybe an hour or two every week in order to share, you know, but we have to kind of like make a new normal. You have to create opportunity and desire against the system, because the system now just wants you to basically buy stuff, follow into this, you know, the trends. When you're constantly online, you're being sold to constantly. So like, if you go outside with real people and put your phone down, then they don't have your eyes anymore. Then they're not constantly manipulating your buying decisions. And I'm over here just sharing music. I'm not advertising this stuff. I just want people to enjoy their music. And this is Vicante Amigo. I don't know how to pronounce these languages. What does that say? Vicente? Anyways, hopefully you appreciate the music I'm sharing, and you understand the reason why I'm doing it, and can understand that my love is for the music, and the gear is just sort of a necessary part of the journey. If I want to listen to music, I need to have speakers and a source and an amplifier and whatever, and the idea of enjoying the music is all it is. And I find that like your enjoyment of the music to a degree is better served not listening to what people think of your system. Like, no need to share the pictures, no need to advertise your stuff. There's no need to invite criticism. Just, like, brands have their own teams. They have websites, they have email addresses, they have social media platforms. If you have questions about gear, you can ask the brands. When we ask a public forum, and in my case, a lot of people, sadly too many of them, are not there for your best interest. They're dealing with things in their own lives, a personality type, if you will, and when they see a question online about, hey, where do I put my speakers, blah, blah, then they see this opportunity, like any bully, to get in on the comments and make a mess of something. And there, we have this, what I'm going to call a personal shit stain of a comment in an otherwise really cool community. Like, we have too many people making problems in forums. There's a lot of great people out there, and there's a lot more great people than bad. But if you're really looking for peace in your audio system, then, sometimes online's one way to do it, if you can just ignore all of the noise that's created by people out there. Say, that's all, Ray Brown Trio. This is really nice. Maddox says, nice setup, thank you. To show off the rest of it's dual monoblocks, dual subs, tower speakers. The preamp is over here. CD player streamers in the background there. And the room is treated quite a bit. So it creates and helps the sound all the way around. I do appreciate it. I'm certainly very grateful that I've come this far with my setup, and it takes years of understanding and making the right choices and finding the right cable risers for you. If you don't have the right cable risers, how can you hear your sound? No, just kidding. Anyhow, this playlist is likely almost finished. Where are we in this playlist? It'd be really cool is this on random? Yeah, it is on random. So anyways, we'll True Voice of Reason knows what I'm all about. It's funny because I don't actually have, hold on, I have an example. I'll demonstrate how they're supposed to hold. The holders are supposed to be ball holders. So I've got them set up there. And forgive me, but I'm going to give everybody a little head right now. There you go. And that's what they're for. They're supposed to be for like sporting memorabilia, footballs, basketballs, that kind of thing. That's what they're for. So, they're, like I said, they're like 5 for $20 or something like that. And I don't really have a cable to showcase to, put them across, but that's what they're for. They're rounded like that, so you can just rest objects. And you can, like I said, pack of 5 for like $20 online. You can find a whole bunch of them, different colors. Paint me like your French girls. Well, thank you everybody for joining me today. I know that it's not entirely all that it's not all that entertaining in terms of, or informative in terms of gear. I don't have I don't have the deep pockets that a lot of these other guys do now that they're 100,000 subscribers deep, and companies really love the fact that they have 100,000 people watching because they can sell more advertising, and then at each view is more advertising, and that's what they really care about. It's not, I get it. It's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and I didn't fall in love with the business. I fell in love with it because it was music. And I'm still very passionate about the music part of it, the community part of it. The thing that draws us together is not the gear, it's the music, it's the sharing, it's the conversation, it's the understanding, it's the stories, it's the memories you can create going to live events, the concerts. Like this one night, Bob and I were out watching Stone Temple Pilots, and he had like 15 beers and threw up all over the parking lot. You remember that? Like, yeah, that's the day Steve dropped his pants and he tripped and fell into a pile of shit. Ha 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 ha. I'm just kidding. I don't know what kind of friends anybody else had, but back in the day, you could definitely hear stories like that at like rock concerts. Neil K is here. It would be nice to have a local meetup of audiophiles. I'm in the West End as well. So Neil K is joining me from where? Is it the 416, West End 416 or 905? So we don't need to get specific in chat because obviously it's public. But I'm not against building a community because there's a lot of stores, a lot of locations, a lot of shows. There's a lot of opportunity to like have conversation and build community locally because, that's how all of this started. And of course our schedules are complicated and we don't all have the same opportunities and that kind of thing. But I would like to explore some of that if it's at all possible. True Voice of Reason. I have a couple of record shops I can go to, but it's not like going to a space where you can share gear. Yes, there's not a lot of that space. It's very rare that there's a space that you can just go to that's safe, protected, and you can share gear and have people that you don't know over to a space. It's very risky, and I can totally understand why people are not all that willing to do that in certain places. Here in Canada, of course, in the US, there's a Second Amendment that allows for a lot of safety and personal safety, which is really cool. Like our buddy Don Dunn at Digital Dawn AV, all our best thoughts go out to him. Please subscribe to his channel. He's got a really rough right now. He had some pretty major neck surgery and he's been in a lot of pain the last little while in his recovery. So Digital Dawn AV on YouTube, please show some love to Dawn. He's going through surgery and going through recovery right now. And I think that, he deserves all of our help and all of our attention and thoughts. And let me just put it up on screen here. And let me see. Let's see if I can't find his channel. So there we go. There's Dawn's channel right there. That's on YouTube. You can see here, there's Dawn with his neck brace. He's still doing all right. We love him. And I think that all you get in there and give Dawn some love. He's the kind of guy that will host people in his local area at home, will share music, loves to share music. He's been in the industry a long time. He's a really knowledgeable guy. So I think that that kind of thing is incredible when it's possible. And he's in the US and has a great space. But for me, because I'm in an apartment, it would have to be one-on-one sessions, and I'd have to trust people and have an understanding there and really have to set that up in my area. But that's what it was all about. Back in the day when you had good friends, that's how you would share things. And a lot of people criticize, like, shows these days, and they say, like, why would I pay to go to a show to go shopping? And the answer is, the reason why we go to shows is because a lot of the times there's no way to listen to the gear. I'm going to switch up to the release radar here while we're still talking. We'll get into some other vibes. So the reason to go to shows is because the gear comes to you if you're close enough. And unfortunately, sometimes geography and like location is a real problem because we can't get the gear close enough. There's no amount of effort that is going to bring the gear closer. So it's a real problem. So local friends, local communities, local events, local shops. I mean, here in my city, there's got to be 20 different shops in the area that people can go to listen to whatever's local, just to talk about stuff. And I'm sure the stores would enjoy it because they want to have people going through the shop, finding out what's on sale. They have a lot of used stuff sometimes that's in store. You can get better prices when you go inside and talk to them in person. And that's what they need. They need to have people considering local options, especially now with the economy the way it is. Everybody's pushed to pay a certain amount of money because of this and that border or this border or that trade war or blah blah blah. Like, we need to really look at our resources and think about what's really important. I think it's possible. I encourage people in that effect to consider the options that are around. Okay, we're gonna move on. I'm gonna play a couple more. Let's just see what this release radar has for us. And then I'm going to get out of here. I got to prepare for another live session. Some saxophone on the way out. Does everybody enjoy that? So, that all said, thank you all for coming, for being part of this live session. I truly appreciate it. I really do. As I've said multiple times in this live stream, the real struggle for me lately is looking at the scope of the world, the scope of the media world, and in audio specifically. Many of my friends and peers already have very successful channels. They're all doing pretty good business now. Lenny is now working with Xpona. That's pretty cool. Randy Cheap Audio Man, as well as a number of other people, have made significant sort of partnerships with brands. I know that a few, I can't name them all, but they're very, very associated for the purpose of educating and mostly advertising, sharing and reaching more people as possible. Randy's got over 300,000 subscribers now. One of the long-time channels that had a lot of viewers for a long time. I know that a lot of others have creeped up or caught up to that point. Andrew Robinson, of course, very well-spoken, well-written, good on camera, very experienced in the industry kind of person. They've been there a long time. There's a lot of channels out there talking about gear, borrowing gear, asking for gear. They get paid and monetized through the videos that they get. So no, brands are not paying them to say anything, but are they getting paid to do it? Yes, because YouTube pays them. So it's not like they're not getting paid. And of course, you deserve to get paid if you do work. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But the idea is it's all advertising. But it is sharing info. So it's like splitting hairs. I'm not saying any one of them are bad. What I'm reflecting on and saying that there's a lot of people out there doing things, I don't have to follow behind them. There's a lot of spaces in the middle where, because they're either taking gear from a company and you want to stay good, you want to stay on their good side, or YouTube will pay and monetize the videos if you say certain things, show certain things. They're limited to what they can say and how they can say, because if they change what they're doing, then they risk a lot more. If you have 300,000 subscribers and this is your monetization, I don't make any money. I can say whatever the fuck I feel like because I'm not going to lose anything. Nobody can take anything away from me, so I can be as honest and as raw or as reflective as possible. And maybe what I can share on top of the music is stuff like between the gaps, like things that are not mentioned and other things. And that's what my live session is for later today. I want to talk about EPO Sound and the guys that I've been following there for a number of years, where Steve Huff recently, Steve Huff's channel, very informative new sort of channel, put on the EPO Sound speakers. Now, I've been following them for a long time, so I've known about their brand for quite a number of years. And they make like epoxy mixed speakers with like very rare types of wood mixed into the brands, or mixed into the finish. So they're like very, very good quality drivers, but it's mixed into new things. And so here's part of that video here. So these were reviewed, and there's a title that was attached to it, and I want to talk more about what that product is and like what it means to like build and design the speakers. Because say like if you're advertised to and people want to buy certain things and they want you to buy certain products, and if you don't really understand how it works, then you got to look at it and say, well, what's better about this one or this one or this one versus this and this? And like, why is it any better money wise or value wise other than the way it looks and whatever the reps are telling you? Because they could tell you anything. Every rep is going to want to tell you the best possible and make their brand look as positive as possible because they want to sell you on it. They want to inspire confidence. They want you to look at the brand and say, hey, there's never anything wrong with this. This is fucking perfect. If I spend my money on this, it's going to be great. When has that ever been 100% true? Like, never. True Voice of Reason is going to email me the songs. Perfect. Awesome. I think that there's a lot of value in getting between the lines. You know, there isn't a news platform or most, unless you're doing like Buyer's Guide or Consumer Reports or you're a third-party investigation firm, where they're going to tell you all of the details. Like, here are the fail rates, here's the return rates, here's their RMI, like RMA ratios, like how, you know what I mean? Like, the companies that are trying to sell things don't want you to think about the negatives because it takes away from the confidence of buying the product. And now, I get it, but there's a reality to things, and I stand on the reality of things. At a detriment, I don't have 300,000 subscribers because I'm not dancing in front of the camera and speaking out of the fucking face with like as many positive things as possible. I won't dance to the beat of their drum. I'm going to dance to the beat of my own drum. And that has cost me what it seems like is entry to the family or a welcome, you know, like an open door to the party. Like, I'm not just going to follow suit for the sake of fitting in, because then we all get led by the nose towards the same goal and then nothing changes. No one's willing to challenge the status quo, then you get the same thing end over end. That's why you get iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and all they do is change the color and the roundness of the thing, and they increment like it's 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. It's like sale, 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 sale. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather not be another face, another figure, another channel, another sort of area, another pusher in the advertising space. I just personally don't get along with that. I don't resonate with that part of it. I have no ill will. I have no shade, no disrespect, and nothing negative to say about the people who are doing great, who have made businesses, have, you know, like, they've been able to figure out how to be okay with it. They do a good job. They see the value in what's going on. They enjoy what they're doing. They're better editors. They film differently. They have a timeline. They have motivation. And good on all of them. They've figured out how to make it work. I haven't. I haven't figured it out at all. I don't know I don't know how to do what they're doing. And personally, I don't want to do what they're doing because they are already doing it. They're doing a good job of it, and good for them. We should celebrate the ones that are filling in all of those areas. If you want to review something, if you want to know about SVS, there's 100 different sources. If you want to know about, PSB and this brand or that brand, you just Google it, and all of a sudden, like 40 different people have already been like, hey, this is this and this and this. There's tons of that stuff. Okay, cool. Why the new material? Like, what is the lens doing? Like, why do you really need the new version versus the old version? Do you buy new or used? There's a lot of questions that are in between. And here's how I know that it's not complete right now, because in the forums, there are always more questions than there are answers. And I think that if brands or reviewers were doing as good a job as it seems like they're doing, why are there so many questions? That's something that I don't get. There's a lot of people that are out there doing work and making content, but there's always more questions than there are, you know what I mean? And thank God there's people in the forums that are there to answer all those questions with patience. I don't personally have a lot of patience, and I'm not quite that good socially. I'm okay doing this, but socially long-term, sometimes I have issues. So I want to fill in some of the gaps. I want to share the music, inspire a community for sharing, try my best to share stuff like that. This song, by the way, now that I'm on to something new, this is Soul Serenade, Patches Stewart. Neil K is saying, I watch YouTube hi-fi content for entertainment only. Any hi-fi I buy is used or Canuck Market, usually a gen or two old, which is wise because you don't really need cutting edge if that's not really something that you need for your system. So that's perfect. True Voice of Reason, but you can get one more bit resolution, and it may be buggy, but it's one more bit. Yeah, I don't want to make any jokes about 1 bit right now, but shout out to Jay's new podcast with Sean from Zero Fidelity. They've been doing a series lately of talking points and bringing up things in conversation, and they've got a new series of videos out. So go check out Jay's Yagi's channel and Zero Fidelity's channel. They're doing a 1-bit podcast. It's awesome. Anyhow, I'm over my 1 hour. I think we're at an hour 7 now. It's 4 o'clock. I got a couple hours to prepare for my next live. We'll be live back on YouTube doing a different format, doing a bit of a deep dive on material science, cabinet building, the reason why wood and materials are important. I've got a number of different resources I'm going to bring in and show on camera, talk about why it's important, what the whole point of building cabinets a certain way and the result of not doing it a certain way. Anyways, it'll be featuring EPO Sound and Steve Huff's review. I had a problem with the thumbnail creation. We'll talk about that later on. 2 things. If you haven't heard the new Sleep Token song, it's probably backwards on camera, but whatever. The new Sleep Token song, Emergence, is very, very nice. There's a saxophone section at the end. It's pretty cool. I'm going to try to get somebody at Montreal Audio Fest to play the song for me so I can get it on video. Yes, Montreal Audio Fest is point 2. Montreal Audio Fest is next weekend, so I will be in Montreal next weekend. I'll try to go live a couple times. Depends on the internet connection. I was able to do a little bit of a session last year, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to be shooting photography and video, doing a show report for Hi-Fi Pig magazine, so that should be pretty cool. Trying to get a jump on that already. A lot of talking points. There's like 62 different things going on, so I'm going to try to hit as many new things as possible. I don't see a value in showcasing something that's already been out for a long time, but I definitely want to make my own content and do interviews with my friends and just see how everybody feels about 2025 like hi-fi. So anyways, I'll see everybody later. Thank you for joining True Voice of Reason. Nikita, Neil, everybody else that's been in. Maddox was here for a little bit. Thank you for watching. Anybody who hasn't commented but has liked the video. Thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll come back live and we'll talk more about material science and what wood can do for you. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck was a hi-fi person? Is there a hi-fi woodchuck? I don't know. Maybe there should be. Anyways, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video.